Morning, everybody. Welcome to day 6 of Innovate Daily. Full circle. Today, you're going to reflect on what you learned over the last week, how you enjoyed working with your team. You're going to evaluate other teams' proposals. A lot of it's sort of reflecting on what you did well, what you could improve, providing feedback to others so that they can improve as well. It shouldn't take that long, and I think it's actually pretty fun to get to see your fellow students' projects. Um, and so the first thing you're going to have to do is evaluate product proposals. And so go to the table you've been at all week, pop open your laptop. We're going to have a snack for you. And on your own, click on the Texo product evaluator. It's going to take a little minute to load everything. And what you're going to see here is all the information that you submitted on Texo. So the name of the startup, a one-sentence overview, what is the problem statement, the startup paragraph, right, with a little more detail, and then 2 links, a link to their presentation or to their Google Splash Page presentation and a link to their prototype walkthrough presentation. So if I click this, it's going to open a splash page, right? If I click this, it'll open a prototype walkthrough. And then once you've spent 5 minutes understanding the startup, evaluating the splash page, evaluating the walkthrough, getting a sense for what the idea is, please go through and use these questions to rank the startup. So rate the novelty and creativity. Maybe it's awesomely creative. Maybe meh, it's all right. It's not super creative. Maybe it's solidly creative. I'm not going to actually judge this product. Just for an example, I'm going to say I give this one a 4, right? And then you go through. I'm just going to randomly click. And what you're going to be doing is indicating for all these questions how you think about the startup, and spend some time doing this. This is what we're going to be using for prizes, so be honest. I know it can be hard, but if it's a really good idea, say it's a really good idea. If it's not such a great idea, mark it as such. We won't be giving away any individual scores. We'll only be using the aggregate information to judge. And so once you've gone through all this for that startup, write a sentence or 2 about what worked, what could be improved, right? So maybe what worked is a great splash page, right? Great splash page, splash page, splash page, feels real, right? What could be improved, blah, 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 right? I'm going to let you guys pick what should be improved. And then hit continue and save. So unlike some of the other texters you have, this is not actually going to save till you hit this button. So I'm going to hit continue and save. And now we're on valuation 2 of 5, right? And the same deal, right? I'm going to read this for about 5 minutes, get to know the startup, understand what's going on, and then I'm going to go through and rank the startup. And maybe I think it's creative. That's pretty good. But then I switch my mind and I'm like, okay, actually I think it's really creative. And sometimes what you're going to see is if I hit really creative, this yellow box is going to pop up. And what this yellow box is doing is saying if you rated another startup as really creative, so if you remember the first startup that was shown, I rated it as really creative. It wants you to essentially say, hey, I know they're both really creative, but if you had to choose, right? We've locked you in a room and we're not going to let you out till you actually pick which one is more creative than the other. That's what this box is doing. And so is this one more creative than the one that you just saw? And you either say that its rank is first, which means it would be like a more creative, so greater than the one we just saw, or say the rank is second. It would be less creative than the one we just saw, right? And so then as you're going through, right, again, we see this for the empathy question. The other one also had an empathy of they empathize well. Again, you're going to say which one had more empathy. Is it this one or was it the last one that you looked at? And you just keep going through doing this for all the questions. Sometimes it'll be there, sometimes it won't. But because you're going to be rating on a scale, it'll happen relatively commonly. But this is really important for us as a judging because it may be that you're feeling very generous and you're saying that everyone has an extremely feasible technological idea. We'd still like to be able to determine between which ideas are the most extremely feasible and which ideas are less extremely feasible, even if they're all extremely feasible. And that's what this ranking has done. So I'm going to leave that at 5. We know what that does. Continue and save. So let's go down to feasibility again. So let's say I said this one was also extremely feasible. Now you're going to see that I'm comparing these, and I say, okay, how does this one stack up? Is it first? Is it second? Or is it third? So I'm going to say, maybe it's third. I'm just clicking through. And then this is evaluation 4 or 5. Same deal. You go through, continue and save. Evaluation 5 of 5, right? continue and save. Bam, you're done. And the last question you're going to be asked is, if you were an angel investor, you have 25 lakhs in the fund that you've raised, how would you distribute your investment across the startup ideas that you just read about? And so you have the descriptions of the startup ideas down here. If you click this button, you'll add 1 lakh to your investment. If you click this button, it'll reduce it, and work out how you're going to distribute your lakhs based off the product ideas that you saw. Which product ideas are the ones that you would throw your money behind if you actually had this kind of money? And then once you're done, hit click, submit your Texo, and we'll move on to the next one. Great, so now we've evaluated product proposals. Next, you're going to do self and team evaluations. So I'm going to click self and team evaluations, and it's going to load, and I've borrowed Rudra's page. Thank you, Rudra. And to sort of demonstrate, and his team at table 11. And so the way this is going to work is the first page, you're going to evaluate your safe. So you're going to see your name below. So pretend I'm Rudra, and I see that my name is down here. And you're going to evaluate yourself on whether you agree or disagree based on a lot of these questions. So do you seek input from all team members? I'm going to say yes, he does. Do you show genuine concern? Yes, I do. Do I keep the post on facing problems rather than someone to blame? Well, let's not talk about Rudra. Let's talk about Rem. So I'd say I'm undecided. Sometimes I can get a little blamey. Do I treat people fairly? I would say I agree. Do I encourage others to express different ideas? I think I do. Am I willing to change my opinion? I'd say I would somewhat disagree. I'm pretending to be me. And you're just going to keep going through and sort of evaluating yourself. Think deeply about this, right? You know, it's easy to say what you think is right, but try to think about what's really going on and see if over the 3-week program you can sort of shift over time, that you get better at some of these actions. And so once you've done this, hit save and continue. And then you're going to have your next teammate. And so let's say Nauman also strongly agrees. We strongly agree that he also seeks input from all team members. And then just like the product evaluation that you did before, we're going to ask you to say, okay, who seeks input more? Is it yourself or is it Nauman? And I'm going to say, let's pretend again it's me, that he does, right? First, second, great. And you're just going to keep on going through, and anytime there's people with the same score, it's again going to ask you this rank question, just so that we make sure that we can break ties. It really helps us with working out how the teams are acting and what's going on. It allows us to give you better feedback, because otherwise often what will happen is everyone will just have the same score, which makes it very difficult for us to give precise feedback. And you hit save and continue. For the other people, you're going to say, what did they contribute to the team? Use specific examples. Did they do the prototype? Did they write the sentences? Were they the glue that kept the team together? Got water, got snacks, whatever it is, use really specific examples. What could they improve? What are things they could work on? Be friendly here. Don't be mean, but definitely write what they could improve. And then write a 3 to 5 sentence long letter of recommendation. Be nice and honest. Don't tear them apart, but instead offer constructive feedback. If you didn't really like working with that person, maybe write that in your letter of recommendation that that person has room for improvement in certain areas. But try to find something that you can offer constructive feedback on. And we're going to hit save and continue. We do the same thing here. And then what did you contribute to the team? Use specific examples. What could you improve? So write that down. What did you learn? And then what are your goals for the next week, right? What are the things you want to prove? What are the things that you want to learn? And then what percentage of the work was contributed by each team member? So almost like the investment thing before, you can add 5% to each person and give a rough breakdown of what the sort of effort provided by each team member was. Hit save and continue. And then this last set of 49 questions is not going to ask you about individuals, but is going to ask you about your team. And it's going to think it's another disagree to agree scale. And we say, we often disagree about work things. I'd say it's strongly agree, or maybe you say neutral. People on this team sometimes reject others for being different. Strongly disagree. You keep on going. Personality clashes are evident. Maybe you hit agree. It is difficult to ask other members for help. I strongly disagree with that. And just go through and sort of give us a sense of what your team dynamics were like. And then once you've done these, gone through all 49 of them, hit click and submit it to Texo. You're good to go. Return back to your page. And next, you are going to have a fun task that's pretty quick, Texo Rapid Idea Evaluation. And here are all of the 40 teams and the paragraphs that they developed. And so give them a brief read. You don't need to read them super in depth. Get just sort of a gist of what it is. And let us know whether you think they're a meh product idea or whether they're an amazing product idea. I know this is really subjective, but hopefully through everybody doing this, we sort of get an average. And a great product idea, an amazing product idea is going to be clever. It's going to be something unexpected. It's going to be something that you could really see people using. It's going to be something that defines a really strong point of view. So go through all of these. And I'm just going to say these ones are amazing for the example. And then once you're done doing all this, and hopefully there's more than one amazing product idea, which I'm pretty sure there is. I've seen some amazing work this week. Let us know which idea you think has the most potential to be a successful product. And so just hit the radio where you think it's the most successful. Hit, click, and submit and finish the Texo. Return to your Texo. And now we're on to the last formal survey of the day, which is a collaboration survey, the Texo social survey. So click on that. This is going to take a minute to load because it's taking in all your images. But once it loads, it should be pretty good to go. Great, so now it's loaded. Now it's loaded, and the first thing you need to do is select the people you know below. And so go through, select those people you know. Just keep going through, select them. I'm just randomly picking people. Don't take it personally if I know you and I didn't select you. But keep going through, select the people you know. And this is really important to get right. Make sure that you get everybody you know, because the next questions are just going to be restricted to those folks you know, right? And you'll see why in a second. So let's say that's a set of people I know at Innovate Delhi. I'm going to hit continue. It's going to say then, who do you seek feedback and advice from about your ideas in entrepreneurship, right? And the people who are going to be listed here are the people that you know, right? You can't seek advice and feedback from people that you don't know, right? Otherwise, you'd know them. And so go through and just select those people who you go for feedback and advice. The people who you've talked to the last week and shared ideas with, ask them for whether it was brainstorming or feedback on what you're doing. And so let's say it was those random people. And then say, who's the first person you would go to of advice out of those people you would go to, and then who's the second? Once you've done that, hit continue. We just want to double check who do you know from before Innovate Delhi. So that's going to be some subset of the people you know. I don't know. I didn't know any of you before Innovate Delhi, but I'm glad I know you now. Who do you think is creative and inventive? So this is pretty simple one. So just go through. Who are those people who you think have those crazy ideas, who just think outside the box? Who do you think is the most creative, and who do you think is the second most creative? Hit continue. Who do you consider a close friend? So go through and just click on the people who you consider a friend at Innovate Delhi. Hit continue. And then who would be useful to interact more with you do now? After that first week, who is someone that you think it would be really good for you on your entrepreneurial journey to interact with more over the next 2 weeks of Innovate Delhi? Right? And then who do you think would be the most useful to interact with more, and who do you think would be the second most useful? Just like some of the other questions we've had. Hit continue. Who do you like to work with in the future? So if you could form your team starting week 2nd, who are the people you would love to have on your team? And then we'll say who you want on your team the most and who you want on your team the second most. Hit continue. Who would you want to work for and be led by if they co-founded a startup? I know this one's hard because we all want to be the Steve Jobs, the Bill Gates, the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, but there's lots of people who follow them and are absolutely amazing. Steve Wozniak, Guy Kawasaki, Johnny Ive, all the Facebook guys who've gone on to found other companies. Moskovitz, who started Asana. I mean, you can just go down the list. There's so many people. Who are the people that you think you could really follow into battle if you wanted to start a startup? Who you would trust as leaders? I know it's hard, but think about it and see who you would do. Who would you follow? It doesn't mean you have to work for them, but there's someone you could definitely see yourself working for if it was the right opportunity. So go through and then hit who would you want to work for the most and who you would want to work for the second most. And then, bam, you're done. Hit back to your Texo to-do list, and at this point, you can go get some lunch, you can go home, hang out and relax. Randy's going to be doing a Learn to Code session, and we'll be having a movie or some television going later in the day, but that is all totally optional. Take tomorrow off. We'll see you at 9:30 on Monday. Cheers, guys.